personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Diana's inheritance gone. The polo drama not going to be made. A couple, quote, wildly unhappy with goals that have diverged in a way that may be, quote, impossible to reconcile.
Well, you know, Piers, you're the first person to say how limited Prince Harry is, unfortunately, and how his wife trades off her husband's fame and fortune, or not so great fortune now. I mean, this is the problem, but we're still interested because, after all, he's a great character in our modern...
For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have remained at the center of relentless headlines. But every so often, one report cuts through the noise in a way that feels genuinely different from everything surrounding it. This time, it wasn't a celebrity magazine or a tabloid making the waves. A respected financial and business publication released a report that immediately ignited fresh and serious debate about where Harry's life is actually heading, and what may really be happening behind the scenes in ways the public hasn't been told. When a publication known for rigorous editorial standards and careful, deliberate language chooses its words with that kind of precision, people tend to pay close attention. According to reporting published by the Wall Street Journal, people described as familiar with Prince Harry's situation characterized him as being wildly unhappy.
Insider revealed Meghan has made it clear that if and when they do split, she would demand a hefty settlement and to keep her royal title. She won't go anywhere unless it's with a title, property, and a huge sack of money. Meghan will make a deal to protect herself. Wow. Tasha is with me now.
Yeah.
This is astonishing, but remember, it comes just weeks after that Vanity Fair bombshell that Meghan is already shopping the post-divorce book to publish it.
That phrase landed immediately and became one of the most significant talking points surrounding the Duke of Sussex in recent memory. The publication wasn't presenting this as editorial judgment. It was reporting what sources close to the situation were saying. But the description has fueled widespread and sustained discussion about Harry's current circumstances and whether life in California has unfolded anywhere close to how he once imagined it would. It's important to maintain appropriate perspective here. Reports like this one depend on unnamed sources, which means they should be treated as claims that require careful evaluation rather than confirmed facts accepted without question. Even so, many experienced royal commentators have argued this particular report carries considerably more weight than the typical celebrity rumor precisely because of where it appeared and the editorial reputation of the outlet involved. That's a significant part of why the article generated the volume of international attention it did, spreading across broadcast media, podcasts, and online commentary in ways that most Sussex-related reporting no longer manages to achieve.
The reason the divorce talk came up is the recent Wall Street Journal article. And the very last line of the Wall Street Journal article was, if Harry ever wants to get remarried again, he's going to have to ask William for permission. Now, the Wall Street Journal is not the type of publication to just throw that in. To me, it smacked, they had several people saying how unhappy the couple are.
Rather than making any dramatic public statement in response, Harry has remained largely silent about the speculation surrounding his private life. That has left commentators analyzing the words of journalists and unnamed sources close to the situation, attempting to construct a picture from available fragments. Whether those fragments accurately reflect the full reality is something only the people directly involved genuinely know. But the reporting has unmistakably reignited conversations about Harry's future, his marriage, his relationship with the royal family he left behind, and what any of it might mean for the life he's been building in Montecito. One specific detail within the Wall Street Journal report caught the attention of royal observers with particular sharpness. Near the article's conclusion, the discussion turned to royal rules surrounding future marriages, noting that if Harry were ever to remarry, royal constitutional procedures connected to the line of succession could come into play.
He became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs.
Meghan herself.
And Meghan herself.
In the months before she met Harry, was setting up paparazzi pictures in London. She now acts as if the paparazzi are literally the devil incarnate.
She begged the paparazzi to photograph her, and they wouldn't. And when they did, she says, "Oh, I don't want to, I'm hurt." And that ridiculous story about how they first met, the whole thing was a tissue of inaccuracies, to be polite.
Because what do you make of that? Because as you know,
that single observation immediately became one of the most debated elements of the entire piece. Some royal analysts suggested the mention was included simply to explain constitutional rules that technically continue to apply to members of the royal family who remain part of the succession. Others have argued more pointedly that the Wall Street Journal doesn't insert details without reason, that the inclusion of that specific point appeared intentional rather than incidental, potentially reflecting conversations that are already taking place among people close to Harry's situation. Neither interpretation has been confirmed by anyone directly involved, but the deliberate nature of the wording has kept debate active and expanding. Royal commentator Paula Froelich made this point explicitly, arguing that publications with the Wall Street Journal's editorial reputation don't include details like that without purpose. In her reading, the mention could reflect broader discussions happening in circles close to Harry that haven't yet become public.
My understanding is that there are members of the family who are very aware of the fact that the marriage is problematic.
The couple's goals have quietly diverged. Harry wants privacy and reconciliation. Meghan wants scale, visibility, and reinvention. She would never allow the quieter life Harry craved.
She acknowledged only the people involved know exactly what has been discussed privately, but her assessment that the detail was significant rather than throwaway has been echoed by multiple other commentators since the article appeared. This report has been treated differently from many previous rumors surrounding Harry and Meghan, and the AEC reason matters. Earlier stories about potential difficulties in their relationship typically originated from less established outlets, or relied on speculation that supporters and critics alike could reasonably dismiss as tabloid noise. This situation is categorically different because of the source, its reputation, and the measured way the reporting was constructed. That combination has made the conversation harder to deflect or move past through the usual communication strategies. Every new public appearance the couple makes is now being examined through the lens of this reporting in ways that weren't happening before the article ran. The timing has added its own layer of significance. Over the past several years, Harry and Meghan have operated under constant public scrutiny regarding their business ventures, media partnerships, and evolving public profiles.
Plan for the post-divorce book was to not only throw the British royal family under the bus, but to throw Harry under the bus too. If she writes the book, because we know she's got the secret diaries, she's going to have to be nice about him. Whereas the plan for the post-divorce book was to throw the British royal family under the bus. How does she then, during the divorce battle, say, oh no, he was actually a really bad husband, he didn't support me? Because his legal team will be able to say, well, no, sorry, here on page 155, you said Harry.
Some commercial arrangements have concluded without achieving what early announcements suggested they would. The Spotify deal ended after producing a limited body of content relative to its scale and reported value. Various Netflix projects have generated mixed audience engagement compared to the expectations the original partnership created. Meghan's lifestyle brand has attracted significant questions about commercial performance. New projects continue to be developed and announced, but the accumulated commercial picture has given commentators substantial material to analyze, and some industry observers have claimed that publishers and entertainment partners are approaching potential future arrangements with more caution than they were bringing to the table 3 or 4 years ago.
Fairy tale Prince Harry and Meghan Markle embarked on in 2016 become an absolute nightmare for them. Despite marrying in St. George's Chapel in Windsor, it seems like life hasn't been so rosy for the couple. They have gone through endless challenges, the vast majority of which are all self-inflicted. And this weekend, we had some new news that seems to kind of reiterate the idea that Meghan Markle, she wants to go back to the past. She wants to relive her glory days because she has hired Sunshine Sachs as her new PR representatives, who were representing her back in 2016. And at the same time, Harry is in the UK fighting for a court case that really has no bearing on any of this, but
whether those commercial pressures connect in any direct way to the personal circumstances described in the Wall Street Journal report remains entirely unknown. But they have inevitably become part of the broader conversation because Harry and Meghan's personal and professional lives have been so thoroughly intertwined in their public presentation that separating the two feels almost artificial at this point. Their documentaries, interviews, charitable work, and business ventures have all been built substantially around their shared story. If questions emerge about that shared story, they necessarily touch the commercial architecture built on top of it. This is a dimension that several royal analysts have identified as presenting an unusual challenge.
There's nowhere to go. I would have agreed with you on the 10-year if there was a willing billionaire. She would only leave for a step up.
Why are people,
you know, like if Jack Dorsey all of a sudden said, Meghan, you're my dream date, she'd be like, bye, Harry, see ya.
Yeah.
You can have the kids. But that's not happening.
No,
so
she's not trading
she doesn't
up.
have a.
If a memoir or documentary or major media project has been premised substantially on a particular version of events, a couple navigating enormous institutional opposition together, building something meaningful from the freedom they chose, then any significant shift in the underlying reality of that relationship creates complications for how future projects in that vein would be received. Audiences who followed the journey are sophisticated enough to notice if the journey itself changes shape. Some commentators have revisited persistent reports that Meghan has maintained detailed personal records of significant events throughout her time in the royal family and afterward. Those claims have never been officially confirmed, and their nature remains entirely private. But they resurface consistently whenever speculation about the couple's future gains momentum, with some observers suggesting such records could eventually form the basis for another major publishing project. Others dismiss those theories as rumor. What's notable is that the combination of recent reporting, renewed media scrutiny, and continuing speculation has created an environment where questions that previously seemed speculative are being taken more seriously by more credible voices. The practical dimensions of Harry's situation have also entered the conversation with increasing frequency.
So stupid to move away because obviously it means the jurisdiction is in California, which is bad for him. So it's virtually impossible for him to come back. He's trapped.
They said that they will remain married until both children are 18 because of that 100%. Whether he is miserable or not. Listen, you and I both know people who stay married for the children and they are in a miserable marriage until the children go to college and then it drops. But I don't think that Harry would ever leave those children. And so he's stuck in California and he doesn't have any friends.
His life today is substantially different in every way from the one he left behind in the United Kingdom. He and Meghan have established their home, their professional networks, their community relationships, and their family routines entirely in California over the course of several years. Any significant life change would involve dimensions of complexity that go well beyond simply deciding where to live. Legal commentators have noted that California family law creates specific frameworks around situations involving children and international considerations, frameworks that can make arrangements considerably more complicated than they might appear from the outside. For public figures operating at this level of global visibility, the additional layer of immediate international media attention transforms every potential decision into something requiring extremely careful navigation. Harry's relationship with his broader circle of connections has also drawn renewed attention. During his years as a working royal, he maintained relationships with military communities, charitable organizations, and longtime personal friends across different chapters of his life. Some of those connections have become less publicly visible since the California relocation, whether because of geographic distance, changed circumstances, or other factors that remain private.
He gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they've made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry, why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable, and everybody's living in absolute misery. And Harry only has himself to blame, because no matter if he wins this trial or not, he's still going to be miserable. I am going to do a deep dive into Meghan Markle's abysmal performance on Netflix. It's really bad, guys. She lost 60+% of her audience between season 1 and 2 of With Love, Meghan. That's really, really bad. So definitely something to go over. But obviously, with everything going on with Harry today, I feel like it's a need to talk about his big boy man tears. He's so emotional, guys. His poor wife, she lives in misery in her $16 million mansion with her 4 million followers.
His relationship with King Charles and Prince William continues to be described through the lens of distance and ongoing difficulty in various reports, though the precise current nature of those relationships is genuinely private and largely unknown outside the family itself. The observation that Harry has always seemed most naturally at ease in contexts involving veterans' causes, charitable work, and direct personal engagement has been made by multiple commentators.
The money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
The executives at Penguin Random House are fielding near weekly calls from the Sussex camp asking for more money. They think there are royalties, but there aren't. Penguin overpaid, and with marketing, printing, and other costs, even with millions of copies sold, they will never earn out or get royalties. Harry has a fundamental disconnect to the concept of money, and certainly that money can indeed run.
Those settings appear to represent his most authentic public persona, the one that generates the least complicated reception and the most genuinely warm response from the people he encounters. The larger entertainment and media landscape has proven considerably more complicated territory, with commercial outcomes consistently falling short of the expectations that initial announcements established. Whether that gap between natural inclination and professional direction has contributed to the circumstances the Wall Street Journal was describing is speculative, but it's a speculation that a growing number of thoughtful observers are engaging with seriously. What makes this particular moment feel qualitatively different from previous rounds of Sussex speculation is the convergence of multiple threads arriving simultaneously. A respected publication using specific language about Harry's emotional state, the deliberate inclusion of a detail about future marriage regulations, commercial partnerships that have underperformed their billing, a family relationship still described in terms of distance and difficulty, a public profile that remains enormous but whose commercial yield appears to be shrinking, industry observers claiming growing caution among potential partners. These aren't isolated phenomena being spun into a narrative by hostile commentators.
People like Meghan, I am not a psychiatrist, but it seems like narcissism. A lot of people like Meghan never do that, and of course it's always someone else. But I wonder if Harry is ever going to have that moment saying, hey, if everyone is saying this, maybe they're...
They are documented developments being assessed by people with no particular axe to grind who are arriving at similar questions from different starting points. The central reality that every honest analysis has to acknowledge is this: only Harry and Meghan know what their private conversations actually contain, what decisions, if any, are being considered, and what the genuine texture of their daily life looks like behind the carefully managed public presentation. Anonymous sources, however credible the outlet publishing their accounts, provide fragments rather than the complete picture. The gap between what can be known publicly and what is actually happening privately remains vast, and responsible discussion has to hold that gap in clear view rather than papering over it with confident assertions. What is clearly true is that the conversation has shifted in a meaningful and measurable way. Questions that were previously contained within speculation-focused royal commentary are now being engaged seriously by mainstream financial and political media. The tone has changed, the outlets involved have changed, the specificity of the language being used has changed, and that shift in the quality and character of the conversation, regardless of what it ultimately reflects about private reality, has real consequences for how everything the couple does going forward will be received and interpreted by audiences who are now looking with different eyes. The story remains genuinely open. A single interview, a clearly successful new project, a credible public demonstration of the partnership being what it has been presented as, could reshape the conversation significantly. History consistently shows that unexpected developments can reframe public narratives in ways that seemed impossible before they occurred. Harry and Meghan have demonstrated considerable resilience across multiple difficult periods, and writing confident conclusions about their future based on current reporting would be premature and probably wrong. What seems clear is simply that the questions being asked are more serious from more credible sources than they have been at any previous point, and that the answers are not yet available to anyone outside the small circle of people who actually know them. What's your take? Do you believe the recent reporting points towards something genuinely significant shifting in Harry's situation? Or does this feel like another chapter in a story that has consistently generated more heat than light? Drop your perspective in the comments. This is exactly the kind of question where the range of views from people following this closely matters. Like the video if the breakdown was useful, subscribe so you don't miss what develops next, and check out the next video on your screen now for more on how this story continues to evolve.